Hey guys, tonight we step onto frostbitten earth, under skies thick with snow and seagull cries, and into a world where magic isn't meant for its muscle. You're standing at the ragged edge of a Nordic coastline. The wind lashes your face, like it's trying to slap some sense into you, and the sea rumbles below like an ancient creature clearing its throat. You're here because you heard the stories of a woman who could whisper a man to madness, who could bend fate with nothing but bones and breath. A sorceress so feared, even warlords crossed themselves when they spoke her name. You probably won't survive this. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And tell me, where in the world are you listening from, and what time is it for you? I love seeing who's dreaming with me around the globe. Now, dim the lights. Maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You're just a trader's apprentice, walking behind your master. Along a coastal trail in early spring, though spring here mostly means less snow, more mud. The air smells like wet stone, seaweed, and salt, and every step squelches underfoot. You pass lean sheep with curved horns and half-collapsed fences built from driftwood. People here believe in many gods, but also in things the gods fear. At the edge of the village is a hut that looks like it grew from the ground itself. Turf roof, walls made of dark timber, chicken feathers tied to the door frame. A raven watches from the thatched peak, head tilted. Your master mutters something under his breath and doesn't knock. Inside lives the stormwife. No one uses her real name anymore, though some say she was once called Rania. Others insist she had no name, just titles: Seikona, Hag, Queen of the Tanglewood. She's old, but old in the way fire is old. Wrinkled, yes, but her eyes catch the light and don't let it go. She smells like juniper and something acrid you can't place. She offers you both warm milk laced with honey and something else. Your master refuses. You drink. Probably a mistake. Your tongue tingles. Your heart slows just a little, and the walls around you start to breathe. The hut is small, but somehow fits an entire whale's worth of bones hanging from the ceiling. Every rafter is carved with runes, and in one corner stands a staff taller than you, wrapped in red thread, tipped with a horse's skull. She speaks in a voice like creaking ice. You're not from here. You nod, slowly. Then you should know, she says. This place doesn't care if you believe, only that you obey. The stories about her begin long before your arrival. They say when she was born, lightning struck her family's longhouse and split the hearth in two. Her mother screamed once and never again. By 3, Rania could mimic birdsong. By 7, she walked barefoot into the sea during a storm and returned with her braids full of sea glass, and her eyes no longer the same color. Historians still argue whether women like her Seiðr were religious leaders, healers, or political weapons. In truth, they were often all three. The Norse didn't draw firm lines between magic and medicine, or between priestess and problem solver. If you could help sheep birth twins, predict a raid, and curse your neighbor's butter to spoil, you were worth your weight in silver. But Rania was more. She didn't just see omens, she sent them. One Jarl claimed his wife miscarried every time Rania passed through the village. Another swore his best warriors fell asleep mid-battle after he refused her payment. There's a story again, unconfirmed, of her walking into a gathering of 5 kings during a thing assembly, brushing her fingers across each one's shoulder, and whispering, "One of you will be headless by the new moon." She never said who. The kings didn't sleep for days. One of them, in a panic, ordered his brother killed just in case. The moon rose, no heads rolled, but by then, paranoia had already rewritten the future. That's the power she had, not just of prediction, but provocation, and it didn't hurt that she was rumored to keep a pet lynx. Here's your quirky tidbit of the night. In some fringe Norse folktales, seeresses didn't ride horses, they were pulled in sledges by cats. Giant ones. Sometimes they weren't cats at all, but shape-shifted lovers or cursed men. One tale even insists Rania once turned a prince into a ferret and wore him in her sleeve. For 3 years, back in the hut, your master is sweating. He wants to trade iron nails for a charm to protect his ship from icebergs. Rania's not impressed. She walks to the hearth, grabs a cup, and tosses a white powder into the flames. It smells like burned feathers and something vaguely citrusy. Give me a blood token, she says. Your master freezes. This wasn't part of the deal. She turns to you. Apprentice. She's not smiling. But she's not smiling either. Before you can protest, she snatches a knife from her belt, slices her own palm, and lets blood fall onto a carved wooden idol. The fire flares green. You swear you hear distant gulls, though the windows are shut. The room tilts. You're falling sideways, but not physically. Like you've slipped through the floor and into another memory. You see a battlefield. You see frost giants dancing. You see her face, younger, streaked with ash dot then dash snap dot back. She hands your master a bone charm wrapped in wolfskin. He leaves, without looking back. You hesitate. She leans in, close. Her breath smells like mint and smoke. You'll return, she says, when the kings come. Then she closes the door behind you, and the raven takes off from the roof, trailing a single black feather behind. The wind feels different now, sharper, like it knows you. You walk faster to keep up with your master, who won't speak a word, not even to curse the mud soaking through his boots. When you glance back, the hut is gone. Only a crooked shadow, where it used to be, and even that disappears as the clouds shift. Years pass. You return to that coast, not as an apprentice, but as a ship's quartermaster. You've seen whales breach near Greenland, eaten seal liver raw, and watched a man's face freeze to his own beard. Nothing unsettles you anymore except the memory of her eyes. So, when the Jarl of Skildhof commands your crew to escort a seeress of old power to a war council inland, you already know who it is. Rania. She's taller than you remember. Or maybe she simply stands straighter. Time doesn't seem to touch her the way it touches other people. Her face is lined, sure, but her movements are sharp. Her voice quick. She walks with a staff carved from what might be driftwood, tipped with what you're 90% sure is a goat's skull. You sail upriver with her under low gray skies. She doesn't speak for 2 days. When she finally does, it's to complain about the taste of the water to clean. I miss the salt. You offer her mead. She glares at the cup. Don't like bees. By the 3rd night, she begins preparing her ritual. It starts with a circle of bones, fish, bird, some unidentifiable. She lays them out precisely, muttering under her breath. You're pretty sure she's cursing them for dying incorrectly. Then come the blood oaths, not hers this time. She pricks your thumb, her own, and even the boat's mast. A drop from each goes into a small leather pouch, along with crushed mushrooms, elf feathers, and what she calls dream salt. You don't ask. Seiðr magic, as scholars understand it today, was a blend of prophecy, trance, and manipulation. In a way, it was performance art meant to alter minds, read futures, twist possibilities. Historians still argue whether it was more religious rite or social control, but when Rania does it, it feels like weather. The air changes, the river goes quiet. On the 4th night, she sings. It starts low and nasal, almost a drone. It builds, impulses like waves breaking on different shores. You've heard battle chants, love songs, and drunken lullabies in 10 languages. Nothing is like this. Her voice slides between notes like it's greased with seal fat, and somehow you can feel it in your ribs. You try not to fall asleep, failing in your dream. You're standing in a field of staves, hundreds, maybe thousands of carved wooden poles, each topped with a bird skull, a fish spine, or an animal jawbone. Rania is walking among them barefoot, her long gray braid trailing behind like smoke. She turns to you. There is no such thing as luck, she says, only unseen threads. When you wake, she's already packed the bones away. The war council is a disaster. 3 rival jarls are arguing over a land border. One wants to break off and swear loyalty to a Christian king from the south. Another wants to unite under a banner made from his own beard hair. You think he's joking, but it's unclear. The third just wants to kill the other 2 and be done with it. Rania arrives late. She doesn't bow, doesn't greet anyone. She walks straight to the center of the hall, unwraps a cloth bundle, and drops a pile of blackened bones onto the floor. The noise they make is dry and hollow. Everyone goes silent. She holds one up. It's a knucklebone too large to be human, probably whale. It's been etched with spirals, dots, and a crude image of a crown. She turns it slowly in her fingers and says, only one of you will see next winter. Cue chaos. The jarls shout. One draws a knife. Another lunges for the bone pile like it might attack him first. She just watches, expression neutral, until one of the men collapses from what turns out to be ironically a fishbone lodged in his throat. Not one of hers. Just bats to dot still. The room clears fast. Later that night, she's sitting beside the fire outside, sipping something from a cracked wooden bowl. Was it a trick? You ask. Everything is, she replies. Even truth. You laugh. She doesn't. She tells you the bone runes aren't to predict the future. They shape it, like wind shapes dunes. You might not feel it, but it shifts everything beneath your feet. Here's a fringe tidbit to chew on while you doze. Some Norse accounts claimed Seiðr could send spirits out of their bodies, literally fly while in trance as a kind of soul animal. Ravens, wolves, seals. Rania says her spirit form is a puffin. You assume she's joking. She does not laugh out one night. You catch her scratching symbols into the floorboards of your boat. When you ask why, she says protection. When you ask from what, she pauses a little too long. Kings, she finally says, they're worse than storms. When she leaves the council, the Jarls are unsettled, but united mostly. Out of fear, they've agreed on a tentative plan, a shared winter fort, and one beard banner compromise. You're sent back with her as escort. She insists on walking the final leg alone. Pots forget how to welcome you when you ride, she says. So you watch her vanish into the woods, cloak trailing like mist. Weeks later, word spreads, one of the Jarls is dead. Found in his hall, eyes open, heart stopped, hands clutching nothing. No marks, no wounds, just a single fishbone on his tongue. You don't go back north for a long time. The sea keeps you busy. New trades, new ports, new scars. But Ranya never quite leaves your thoughts. Her name surfaces in stories whispered in foreign taverns and curses barked by drunk soldiers, even scratched into the hull of a ship in runes you don't recognize. Every tale contradicts the last. She's dead, she's a ghost, she's ruling in the east. She turned into a fox and vanished into the mountains. But you know better. So, when you arrive in Hedeby, a bustling trade town buzzing with silk, iron, amber, and Lyzand, here there's a woman collecting debts from kings. You follow the whispers. They call her the queen who wouldn't die. You find her in the middle of a dispute over who owns a gold arm ring carved with wolf heads. The two claimants are ready to duel. Ranya holds it in her hand, weighs it, and casually snaps it in half, one piece to each. Then she walks away. Neither man argues. She's wearing a fur-trimmed cloak now, and carries herself with less strangeness, more authority. Her staff is gone, but when she locks eyes with you across the marketplace, the corners of her mouth twitch, half welcome, half warning. You follow. Later, in a quiet room above a tavern that smells like pine and wet rope, she tells you what's happened. People listen differently when you act like you belong, she says. So now I wear finer boots and say fewer weird things, but they still fear you. She raises an eyebrow. Wouldn't you? You nod. It turns out she's been working behind the scenes for years, intervening in succession disputes, manipulating trade routes, brokering dark little agreements between men too proud to admit they need help. She doesn't do it with swords. She does it with secrets, and curses sometimes, but mostly secrets. One of her oldest weapons, the memory of a king she ruined. He was a cousin of Harald Bluetooth, yes. That Harald. This cousin ruled a splintered territory, rich in timber and poor in patience. He mocked Ranya's rituals during a feast, called her a goose in a cloak. She didn't respond. That night, she gifted him a carved seal tooth. A week later, he was blind in one eye, delirious, and muttering about feathers falling from his hair. He was dead by spring. Historians still argue whether he died of poison, syphilis, or sheer panic, but those who saw him before the end say he clutched the tooth so hard it pierced his palm. Ranya never admitted to anything. She didn't have to. Back in your room, she pulls out a small wooden box. Inside is a bundle of tightly folded cloth. When she unwraps it, you see the jawbone of a child, tiny, polished smooth. The teeth are etched with runes so small you have to squint. You shiver. She notices. It's just a focus, she says gently. The power is not in the bone. It's in belief. You believe her. Here's a curious side note to stew on while you rub the goosebumps from your arms. In some rare Norse medical text, fringe stuff even for the time, it's said that whispering into the mouth of a corpse could allow the dead to answer. Not with sound, but with thought. A few even believe the dead could be convinced to spy on the living. You ask her if that's true. She smiles and doesn't answer. You travel with her again, this time east, through muddy roads and thick woods, to a stronghold ruled by a young queen with no counsel and too many enemies. Ranya doesn't offer spells. She offers strategy. She walks through the castle like it already belongs to her. She points to a tapestry and says, "Hang this on the outer wall. The colors will blind archers in the morning sun." She looks at a chamberlain and says, "He's the leak. He smells like betrayal." She's right. That winter, you watch the stronghold survive 2 sieges, 1 assassination attempt, and a famine barely. The queen offers Ranya a place in her court. Ranya declines. "No throne can hold me," she says. And you realize she's right. She's more than a sorceress now. She's become a force of nature, a myth still walking. And myths don't take titles. They lend them, but myths also collect enemies. You hear rumors. A bounty on her head from a southern bishop. A hunter, paid in silver by rival Jarls. A ship whose entire crew disappeared after vowing to bring back her scalp. The tension builds. You travel in silence more often. She stops lighting fires at night. You learn to sleep with one eye open. One night, you ask her why she never leaves. This part of the world. There's too much power in the dirt here, she says. The ground remembers, and she tells you something she's never shared before. When I was a girl, she begins, I drowned. You blink. She continues. Slipped beneath a frozen lake. Gone for minutes. Maybe hours. They pulled me out, blue as sky, and left me by the fire. My mother screamed, but I heard it from above. Then I came back. Since then, she pauses. Nothing's been quite real. Or maybe everything became real. You want to ask what she saw under the ice. But you don't. She's already somewhere else. Eyes fixed on the darkness beyond the window. You should have known it couldn't last. Power draws power, but it also draws the desperate, the prideful, the kings who fear becoming ordinary. And Rania, in her quiet dominion, had become something even the gods might look sideways at. It starts with a letter. Not to her but about her. You intercepted in a harbor town where even the seagulls seemed to gossip. Wax seal, red as blood, stamped with the Christian bishop's ring. Inside, a warning cloaked as a prayer request. Eliminate the seeresses. Her influence grows. The North bends to her will, not Christ. You burn the letter, but too late. You know others have read similar ones. Word is out. So you stay close to her. She's quieter these days, like a storm that's passed but left. The pressure dropped behind. Her rituals grow simpler. Less fire, more silence. She claims she's listening more. Sometimes, she says, the world answers when you shut up long enough. You're in the court of Jarl Eiríkr now, a man with a crown-shaped dent in his ego and an actual crown made of gilded pine. He smiles like a wolf too full to bite. He's flanked by armed guards who never blink. Rania is here at his invitation, or so he said. You quickly realize this is not a council. It's a cage. The moment she steps into his hall, the doors close with a groan that sounds final. The Jarl stands. Stormwife, he says. We meet at last. She doesn't answer. He circles her like a hawk. My priests tell me you consort with spirits, with beasts, that you whisper to storms. Rania shrugs. They whisper back. A few chuckles from his war band. Nervous ones. You don't move. You can't. I've brought you here to make you an offer. Eiríkr says, serve me. Be my shadow. Curse my enemies. Bless my heirs. You'll be rich, safe, worshipped. She looks at him, long and flat. Then she says, no. A pause. No, he repeats. She steps forward so close she could pluck his beard like a harp. You don't want me behind your throne. Because I don't kneel. I whisper. He flushes, turns, and gestures sharply. Sees her. That's when everything tilts. The room goes dim. Like someone pulled the sunlight out by its roots. The torches gutter. The air thickens. Every man in the room grips his sword, but none of them draw. She doesn't move. You notice it first. Blood seeping from beneath the Jarl's chair. Just a trickle. Just enough. His eyes widen. What did you? She says nothing. He staggers back. One of the guards throws up. Another runs. Rania turns, cloak swirling, and walks out the now open door. You follow, dizzy. The hall behind you erupts into shouts, panic, some kind of chanting, maybe prayers, maybe curses. Later, you hear the Jarl survived, but only barely. Couldn't speak for weeks, developed a stutter so bad he had to communicate by runestones. Retired to a monastery. No one invites her again after that. Now she becomes a shadow. A whispered warning. A question no one dares ask too loudly. You travel with her through forests that smell of rot and honey. Through fishing villages where the gulls watch her too closely. Past stone circles so old even she looks unsure. One night, under the northern lights, you ask her, are you tired? She nods. But I'm not done. Why not disappear? You ask. Let them forget. Let the fear die. She looks at you. If fear dies, she says, they'll come for the rest of us. And that's when you understand. She's not hoarding power. She's guarding space. For the women who whisper herbs into tea. For the boys who dream in animal shapes. For the old who remember too much. She's become a myth not to rule but to protect. Your scholarly tidbit tonight. The Norse concept of frith, a kind of sacred peace, or sanctuary, wasn't just about absence of war. It was protection under someone's name, under someone's presence. Rania has become frith for those the world wants to forget, but her enemies still move. You hear of a southern noble who offers a chest of silver for her staff, a warrior poet who composes verses about slaying her in a dream, a foreign bishop who publicly declares her a rotten branch of Eve's tree. Then, one night, you wake to find her gone. No sign of struggle, just the faint smell of smoke and pine. You search, days turn to weeks, You follow rumors like breadcrumbs. She was seen near the fjords. She was sailing west. She turned into a raven and flew away. One man swears she turned his ale sour just by passing him. Eventually, you find a clue. A bone charm, hung from a tree. Familiar red thread. You touch it, and swear it's warm. The forest around you is still. You keep walking. You'll find her. Or she'll find you. Either way, you know this isn't the end. Not for her. You're older now. Slower. The winters bite harder, and your sword hand aches before storms. You've taken to telling tales in mead halls and trading fish for gossip. People laugh at your stories until you mention her. Then they lean in. Silent, their cups paused halfway to their mouths. Some pretend not to know her name. Others cross themselves. But always, someone asks, is she real? And you always answer the same way. She was. She is. Maybe more than you. The last thread comes to you by accident. You're in a forgotten port village on the edge of the map where the houses lean from the sea wind. And the dogs don't bark, only blink. It's past midnight, and a young man in a salt-stiff cloak starts bragging about how he once ferried a strange woman out into the fjords. All wrapped in bones and beads, he mentions a cape that shimmered like fish scales, a raven that wouldn't leave her shoulder, a voice that made him cry without knowing why. She paid him in a stone carved with 3 concentric spirals. He still carries it. You ask to see it. You already know what it'll look like. You set off the next day. Your joints ache. Your boots are soaked, and the cold is the kind that climbs up through your ribs and tries to replace your lungs. But you don't stop. You borrow a boat. You sail alone, deeper into the fingers of the coastline, where the waters grow dark and the cliffs look down like ancient judges. Then you find it. A small island. Not on any map, just a hump of mossy stone, a few twisted trees, and a single wooden cabin. Smoke from the chimney. Something carved into the doorframe, a mark you've seen before. A loop with 3 dots inside. Her sign. You step onto the rocky shore. The boat rocks behind you, restless. And she's there. Older now. Her braid is silver, not gray. Her hands are knotted, her back curved. But her eyes still hold that impossible light, like they're seeing 5 things at once. And only one of them is you. She doesn't look surprised. She smiles. Took you long enough, she says. You don't speak for a long time. You just sit. Let the sea do the talking. She serves you a broth that tastes like smoke, salt, and something you can't name. You ask her what she's doing here. Holding the edge, she says. Every world has one. You ask if she's hiding. She shakes her head. Resting. Until I meet it again. You talk through the night. About everything. About nothing. About how kings rot faster than bread. How myths are the only thing that don't die. She shows you a bone flute carved with runes too tiny to read. Says it plays dreams, not notes. You ask if she's afraid of death. She looks out to sea. No, but I am afraid of being misremembered. That's when you realize she's not immortal. She's just unfinished. And maybe that's the truth of power, not to live forever, but to be redoled, reclaimed, reinvented. She stands at dawn. Walks with you to the shore. The sea is still. The sky pale pink, like the world just woke up and hasn't decided what mood it's in yet. She hands you something. A carved token. You don't recognize the shape. It's not for you, she says. It's for whoever finds you next. You step into the boat. She watches as you drift away. You don't look back. You don't have to. She's not behind you anymore. She's everywhere. Now, let yourself slow. Let your breath come softer, longer. Let the echoes of sea winds and raven wings fade gently into the quiet corners of your mind. You've wandered far tonight through frost and firelight, through tangled woods and silent halls, through memory and myth. And whether you believe in sorcery or not, you've touched something older than truth. Something with bone and breath and maybe, just maybe, feathers. Let your thoughts soften now. Like moss underfoot, the Viking world was one of steel and storm, but also of stories. And Rania, the storm wife, the queen without a throne, lived in that space between legend and reality. The place where night begins to blur the edges of what we know. Maybe you still feel the cold wind brushing your cheek, or hear the distant chant of a Seiðr song you can't quite place. But you're safe now. The longhouse is warm, the fires glow steady, and outside, the waves have gone quiet. Rest in the knowledge that the world still holds mysteries. That there are still names whispered in the dark, still places the map forgets, still people who walk the line between fear and wonder. And maybe one of them is waiting for you. One day, somewhere at the edge. But for now, close your eyes. Let go of the weight of kings and curses. Sleep deep, dream long, and wake lighter. You've earned it.